Well, good morning and welcome to the Women's Leaders Fitness Business Podcast. Today's episode is sponsored by BF Brokers Group, helping fitness business professionals to buy, sell, or start their own fitness business or franchise. Today, I'm lucky enough to be speaking to Niki Rein. Niki Rein is the founder of BARRECORE. BARRECORE was founded in London in 2011. Since then, BARRECORE has grown into one of the United Kingdom's most well-known fitness brands, with 13 studios across prime locations such as Chelsea, Notting Hill, and Hampstead. Good morning, Niki.
Hi, good morning, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Niki, and I'm very excited to be interviewing you today because there's so many new wellness brands coming into the fitness business industry, and it's always great to speak to somebody that has a new product. So, Niki, let's go back to the absolute beginning of BARRECORE. How did BARRECORE start?
Gosh, well, you can probably tell by my accent, I'm American originally, but living in the UK for over 10 years now. And when I moved over, in 2009, I noticed just a huge gap in the market. There were only a few boutique fitness studios, and only a couple yoga studios, and there was definitely no bar fitness offering. And bar had just become the bar fitness had just become the biggest boom in the US. And I joke now that wherever there's a Starbucks, there's a bar studio in the States. And I love dance-based fitness. I was an athlete growing up and always had a very athletic body and didn't feel very feminine. So when I was introduced to dance-based fitness and bar fitness, I just was astounded by the changes that happened in my own body and watching the changes that happened in others. And so when I came to London, I was waiting for one of the bigger bar players to come over to London and open. And being a PT at the time and teaching dance-based fitness, generally, it just kind of organically happened. A client of mine happened to have a ballet studio that was underutilized, and she said, go for it. Please teach me in my friend's classes. And I did. And one class turned into 10 out of this little muse house, and then found investment and late 2011 opened the first London BARRECORE studio.
I mean, that's pretty exciting. I mean, to come, from the US to come, then, across to the UK and then find yourself opening up your own business. Bar is yet to explode here in Australia. Though there's a lot of programs, we really haven't seen any franchises open that are exclusively bar. I mean, what makes bar different from any other type of fitness program?
It's really special because not only does the body change so rapidly, but it does in quite an intense but gentle way. We in bar fitness, we use mostly two contractions, one called isometric and eccentric. And I know your audience probably knows exactly what those are. But for those that don't, it's basically that point where your muscles begin to quiver and shake. It's usually where you're not moving all that much and you're moving in a smaller range of motion and going from usually extending to the full extent of a ligament, say, stretching the arm straight, and it gets that shaking burning point. And it's that shaking burning that makes bar fitness so effective. And it's usually not with much weight load other than our own body weight or maybe light props. And basically what that does, it creates a whole hormone reaction that occurs over the next few days that creates more mitochondria in the cells, which increases energy and also increases fat melting. So basically using fat for fuel. And so not only is that using fat for fuel more efficient, you therefore have more energy. And then the results are just astounding, and they're so fast. And because everything we do is low impact, you can actually do it for generations. So you're not really beasting yourself every week. And I think, it's still, I think it's very confusing to people how bar fitness can work. Because when you look at it, it just doesn't look like much will be happening. But when you're doing it, I mean, it's very intense, and even though you may not be sweating or huffing and puffing. So I think it's going to take some time, and it's definitely not a trend. I don't think it's going to go anywhere because it is so effective. And, I think there's a lot of awareness that needs to be done. And I mean, it's embarrassing starting a bar company, but I even have a hard time describing it. So yeah. I think, it'll just take time, and a lot of people just need to experience it to really get it.
I think you explained it really, really well. Then actually, I have to be quite honest and say that's the best explanation that I've ever heard of bar. I've never actually spoken to somebody that instructs bar say to me it's fat melting, or talked about the benefits the way you did. And whilst I was listening to you, it made me sort of realize: do you think that bar is sort of it's one of those programs that people are undervaluing in the industry?
I think so. I think, we're going through a phase of, high intensity interval training. And we went through that basically last year and the year before. And I do think that's very effective training. I'm by far not dissing it, and I do like it myself. And we do have a hit concept, a low impact hit concept, but that is bar based. But I do think that it's just, there's not enough science out there. There's not enough studies, and it's really hard to, unless you have that scientific backing, it's really hard to kind of push for that. And it's a struggle that I always have. So I have to kind of pull in, all the information that I can find on isometric contractions and the power of isometric exercise, and pull in what makes sense for bar fitness. And I think in time there will be more studies, especially with more focus on kind of ballet training and how powerful that really is.
I think the most important message really is how professionals sell the product to the consumer. Because, when I watch the bar programs, one of the things that stands out to me as a club owner is that, the person that's participating doesn't need to know their left or their right. So they're not walking into a program where they feel, oh, I've got to go to the left, I've got to go to the right. They can sort of work at their own level, and there's no pressure on them. And I think that this is a great benefit of this program, and the fact also that it can be taught right across different age groups. So, as a club owner, it's a program I could implement into my club or open a studio where I'm touching base with, young people from 10 right up to our active aging market, over 50s. So I think there's tremendous benefits with the program. Niki, you've obviously expanded the studios, and now you're going global. So congratulations on going global.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. It's very exciting.
It's absolutely fantastic. I think, the more product that's out there for consumers to be able to choose from makes it better for us as professionals, because that in return is going to decline on the health issues that we have growing so fast on the global scale. But what made you decide to move forward as a global product?
It wasn't on my kind of strategy plans years ago, but as we've grown in London, it's been, the workout, the quality of what we do, the training, and kind of the whys and the benefits behind what we do are first and foremost the most important thing. Second, I would say, is the community. I think, that that's what makes boutique fitness specifically so special, and any place really so special, is the contact with your clients and how personal you can make it. And we've as we've grown in London, now we have 10 studios and then one in Bristol, and then we have 2 franchises up in Manchester. That what one of the struggles I found is that obviously you can't be everywhere at once, and I think you need to have heart at each location, and we have the most amazing studio managers, and they care so much, and boy do they have heart. However, I think that there is a lot of power in a space when you have someone that has a little skin in the game, and they are making it their mission to grow a community and really connect with everyone and have quality conversations, true, authentic conversations, and outside of the studio, and then the clients will just be so much more engaged in their fitness while they're there. I mean, we only get them for an hour. They might come and hang out a few minutes before class and hang out after, which is great and welcomed. But it's making sure to maximize those touch points you have with clients inside and outside of the classroom. And I think from an international perspective, sure, it would be really exciting for us to open ourselves studios around the world, but I don't think that's where boutique fitness has its its gem. I think it's where the person that actually brings that heart and that ownership to a space is where it can be its actual best. So that's what excites me, and I also think just we have such a great product, and we know it works, and we've done it, enough times now to know what's going to work, what doesn't. And, each location is nuanced, which we are happy to coach partners on. But I think helping someone open a business and taking out the painful work of brand design, building a name, and all of that is really great, because that's those are sleepless nights and learning lessons that you may not want to learn along the way.
Oh, look, I definitely agree with you there. And when you said the word painful and sleepless nights, I was like, absolutely, totally get where you're coming from, Niki. And that sort of leads me to the next question. Those sleepless nights and that pain, what is the biggest lesson that you've learned since 2011 in your journey?
Gosh, I mean, there's such a list, but I think one thing that I feel like I've done well is base most of my decisions on feedback, not necessarily taking every ounce of feedback and following it, but really listening, and really both to clients and mostly instructors and staff, because I feel like they're the ones that are touching more people. And if I can really open my ears to the team, and take on that feedback, really process it, but then in the end, trust my gut on kind of the decisions and the way to take the business forward, or the changes to make, is really the biggest lesson I can learn, because I think I've learned along the way, because I think it's so easy to have a gut reaction. One client doesn't like this, so we should change it. Or one client, says this time is awful, we should change the time of that class. And you just can't make the knee-jerk reactions. I think that feedback mechanism is so important, especially when you're building such a personal community. And I think when you've got a vision and what the values are of that vision, then trusting your gut in the end.
Yeah. I mean, I do agree with you there, Niki. I mean, I remember in the early days when I opened my club, Exactly what you just said then. You're, oh, so and so said that they won't come if I put that class on at that time. And you're sort of, you're trying to keep everybody happy. And the reality is you're never going to be able to do that anyway.
Never.
It's never going to
Never.
happen. So I think,
Yeah.
just don't, I agree with you. Don't be a reactor in business. Just listen to what people have got to say. I think that's the most
And
important skill.
yeah, and I think the other thing is I joke that it's been a cutting of the apron strings, so to speak, every single day since opening, right? It's like starts off, and I know you probably felt the same. It's like it's your idea. Okay, I'm going to do this. There starts the sleepless nights, and then you kind of open your doors, you hire people, and you just have to you have to learn to let go and
Yeah.
trust other people along the way. Not only trust yourself, but trust other people, and just be like, you know what, oh, interesting, that's not how I would do that, but however, what a great way to to try something, and it's and most of the time, luckily, it usually goes quite well.
Yeah, I mean, I must agree. If we learn to listen to others and take on board their feedback, quite often you'll see your business flourish just from doing that, as opposed to trying to run it your way. I think the most important thing is to stop, to listen, to learn, and then to implement other people's ideas and concepts. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. And there's nothing wrong with saying to people, you know what, you're better at that than I am. How about you take over that role? And I think once we start to do that, our business does grow a lot faster, and we build better relationships with our teams and also with our consumers.
Most definitely. And you feel less stress,
Oh,
which,
absolutely. I mean, you must agree. I mean, we take on a lot as business owners, and we're putting everything out there. We're putting our sales out there. We're putting, our finances out there, and I think it's a really big deal. And I think sometimes people undervalue what we do risk as business owners.
it's very true. That's very true.
And that sort of leads me, Niki, to the last question in our podcast today. What's in store for you and BARRECORE in 2020? Because the boutique market is absolutely exploding in the UK. I'm loving what I'm seeing over there. But what's in store for you, not just in the UK, but on a global level as well?
Yeah, I mean, and just to, comment on the boutique market exploding in the UK, it absolutely is. And I think it's really exciting. And, I think there's room for everyone, because I think having options is really great. And, whether it's, Barry's boot camp or reformer Pilates or more bar fitness, I think, it's really nice to help even just spread the word of boutique fitness, and just making fitness part of, everyday language. And I'd say it's getting more and more that way, which is really exciting. But for us, I think the more niche specific, the more bar specific, we will stay. And even despite all the kind of new methods, we have 8 different formats that are bar based, and we don't have any intention of expanding outside of bar fitness, as we really do plan to stay the leaders in bar and just be better at what we do. So we still plan to open more studios in London and the UK, and obviously the international franchise growth is really exciting. We have a lot of interest both in the UK and around the globe, which I'm excited to be launching those. And then we also have an online platform. So we'll be expanding more of those classes in 2020 and trying to touch people in their homes or in towns where they may not have access to bar fitness.
So, Niki, that sounds absolutely exciting. I have to ask you, is there any possibility that you'll be coming down under or even into the Asian market?
Yes. So we have a lot of interest in the Asian market and a little bit in Australia, which is exciting. We actually have some of our original instructors have moved back to Australia and New Zealand, and one of our original instructors in New Zealand, she actually opened her own studio there. Not BARRECORE. This was years ago, so it's already nice to have some touch points there as well, in both Oz and New Zealand. But yes, hopefully, yes.
Sounds fantastic. So, Niki, obviously, where is the best place for any of our listeners to get in touch with you? They want to chat a little bit more about BARRECORE.
Absolutely. I'm happy for your listeners to email me. It's just Niki, Niki, at barrecore.co.uk. That's BARRECORE.co.uk. You can also catch me on LinkedIn or our website, which is barrecore.com.
Sounds fantastic. I'll be dropping Niki's details into the bottom of our podcast. Do jump on, have a look at her website. There's so much more on offer. I had a look last night. They've got some great training if you're in the UK and you want to have a look at that. So do jump onto her website and have a look. As you heard, Niki is now dropping her product globally. So this is a great opportunity for those that are passionate about bar to be opening up their own boutique studio in 2020 and beyond. Niki, I thank you for your time today. Do have an absolutely amazing Christmas. And I know that we'll be touching base in the new year. As I said, I'll be dropping Niki's details into the bottom of the podcast. And again, thank you for your time today.
Thank you so much for having me, Mel. I really appreciate it. It was a true pleasure.
You're absolutely welcome. As I said today, the Women's Leaders Fitness Business Podcast was proudly sponsored by BF Brokers Group, helping fitness business professionals like you to buy, sell, or start your own fitness business.